Well, good morning. Most of you know I like to start a minute or two early. My clock says 9:59. How about that? Welcome from Southern California. We're going to have a great time today. I'm going to bring on. Most of you know I like to start a minute or two. Oops, hang on a minute. I got too many things on. 9:50. I did that last week too. I'm hearing myself from three different corners. Mike from Mike's Retirement Corner. I'm excited to have him on today, and let's take a look at his channel. It's a cool channel. Obviously, you can tell that Mike's. Make sure I'm on here right. Yeah, you can obviously tell that Mike's out in the desert somewhere. Holy moly, I love it. Let's take a look. Mike's been on his channel for about 8 months. His most popular video is how I reinvented myself at 70. That's exciting. I love it. This is let's take a look at his description. What happens when the busy years slow down? I don't know about you, Mike. My years are getting busier. And your time becomes yours. Who am I now? My name is Mike. Join me for the honest conversations about aging, perspective, freedom, and living well in life's seasons. That's pretty cool. So let me get back over here. Let me get this off the screen. And hey, let's see here. I'm going to take just a moment here and acknowledge a few people that are in the chat. Faith on Water. This is River Dog. Glad to see you. Grandpa Chuck. Nice to see you. KC is here. Got a couple of people in here that Cheddar Boy's here. He's my favorite funny guy. Oh man, let's see. So here's somebody I've seen before. Bill from Pop's Wisdom Talk. Oh my word, we're in trouble now. Here's a couple of folks. Hey guys, Devin, Mike. Yeah. Here's one of my new friends. I don't have his name, but retired Marine. Well, wait a minute. You never retire. Once a Marine, always a Marine. I love his channel. He's a photographer, great guy. Made a couple of shifts in his channel here this last year or two. He's got a challenge going on right now. I want you to know I'm praying for you. I'm praying for your challenge every day. I've got you on my daily prayer request list. Okay. Let's see. Cliff, good to see you. Got some new people in here I haven't seen before. Okay, let me get, whoops, get this off of here. So let me get Mike in here before I take all of his time. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going, Michael? Mike and Mike. It's the Mike and Mike show.
Mike and Mike show. Let me move my camera back so we got a little more balance. So Mike, it's good to have you on, man. Now I introduced your channel. I didn't say anything really negative about it, or there isn't anything negative to say about it. Tell me about your banner. It's nothing but the desert. Does that imply that you're a pretty dry channel creator?
I am. I just have a dry sense of humor, dry personality, kind of stick in the mud. No, it's I struggle with that banner thing. I'm not a graphic artist, and I used to take pictures years ago of old abandoned buildings, and that's what I had on there initially. But I think that kind of sent the wrong message. So I have that picture of the desert. I got that from a live stream that I did, and or not a live stream, but a walk and talk that I did. And I just decided to throw that up there for now. Probably going to change it. I'm sure I'll change it at some point.
Now you do a fair amount of walk and talks. Do you feel comfortable with that?
Oh, I love doing that. I wish I could do more. Yeah, I really do enjoy that. You know, I have neuropathy in my feet though from chemo, and that kind of keeps me from doing a whole lot of walking. I'd like to be doing more than I'm doing, that's for sure.
Yeah, I could never do a walk and talk. I have to use a walker or I use my Dash Moto scooter. I can do it on that. But yeah, I don't have neuropathy, but because of my back surgeries, I have difficulty. Uh, well, I can walk okay without any of that stuff, but I couldn't hold a camera while I'd be on the ground, man. Yeah.
I hear you. Well, you know what might be fun, Mike, is get yourself a little adapter to go on your scooter, on the handlebar or something, something to clamp on there with your phone
Yeah,
and take us for a ride. That'd be fun.
yeah. Actually, a couple of people have suggested that have seen my Dash Moto uh, video. It's unlisted now, but yeah, we may do that. So Mike, give us a introduction, a minute or two about who you are, where you came from, and a little background. Okay.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, my name's Mike, and I've been around for 70 years now. So it's been a while, 7 trips around the sun. I've been on YouTube for a while. In 2019, I think I started teaching some software tutorials on how to produce audio, record and produce audio. And then that became a small business. And then during COVID, it really took off because everybody's stuck inside, nobody's got anything to do, so they're starting to watch my tutorials. And
Okay.
so, out of that, I started my first YouTube channel, which is still going. It's still there. I've got about a little over 10,000 subscribers on it, and it's slowed down a lot because I got sick in 2024, and so everything kind of came to a screeching halt there for a while. And I'm trying to pick it back up, but I'm just not as energetic as I used to be. That's just how that thing works. But yeah, I was born in Southern California. I've lived in Arizona most of my life. I've been married, it'll be 52 years this July.
Okay.
And so we'll be celebrating that anniversary. And I started this channel, by the way, I changed my channel name, Mike. It's now The Aging Retiree. I changed my handle. So you can
Oh,
see it there
okay.
on the bottom of my screen, The Aging Retiree. I thought that was more descriptive because I talk about more than retirement. I talk about other things too. I talk about life. And that's one of the reasons I started this channel, was to just have an outlet to talk about life, to talk about what's going on with me. And, I
So
started it without,
I see you changed your handle, but on your I've got your page up here right now, but your let me pull this down a little bit. But it's still called Mike's Retirement Corner.
right. It won't let me change it for 5 more days. So
Oh,
what I'm
but
doing,
you are going to
go
change
ahead.
that.
Yes, I'm
You
going to
are
change that too.
okay.
I'm going to
Gotcha. Go
change
ahead.
it. I'm going to change it to Mike, the Aging Retiree, so that my name is still in it. I think that's important. But yeah, I just decided to change that because it's more descriptive of what I'm doing. I'm aging and I'm retired, but I'm not all about retirement. I talk about real life. At least that's what I want to do. I want to be able to talk about real life. And I think that title or that handle gives me a little more freedom to do that. People aren't just expecting this is a retirement channel, and if I talk about something else, they'll be disappointed. So that's why I
So
got on here with this channel. I just wanted a way to express some things that were going on in my life.
so you sound a little like me because my other channel is over 10 years old. It's for all of my sermons and everything, and so I had some experience with YouTube with that. But this is a whole different outlet. So eh, tell me again, the reason for this channel is that because the niche that the retirement niche is huge. I'm not sure I'm in the retirement niche. I like to think of myself as in the fourth quarter niche, which is more than just retirement. But the retirement niche, man, there's channels popping up every day with people in this
Yeah,
niche.
there are. Absolutely. And some of them are doing really well. I follow a bunch of them. and
Yeah,
they're doing really well.
I saw a guy. I saw a video this morning of a guy's. He got monetized in, I don't know, 12 days or 10 days or whatever, and he's in the retirement niche. But to get monetized that fast, and he had the same thing I did. He had a viral video. Now I looked over your channel. You don't have any what I would consider to be viral videos. Is that correct?
No, no, I don't. I'm just kind of plugging along, Mike, doing my thing. And there's a sense in which I'm still trying to find my footing, I think, with what I'm doing. And that's okay. I mean, that could take some time. But yeah, I haven't had anything go viral, but I do have kind of had a steady increase, a steady climb in my community, which I really like. I really enjoy my community that I have. And I think starting to do live streams, I do live streams now every Wednesday. I've started doing them at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific.
Okay.
And, I think that's going to help. I've done a few of those. I'm getting a good response on them. So there'll be another one this Wednesday. So, yeah.
Now are you doing interviews on those live streams?
Yeah. I want to do interviews, and I also just want to talk about, like this Wednesday, I'm not doing an interview, but I've got some interviews coming up. I've got them scheduled. I'm going to have Pops on there, and I'm going to have another gentleman on, and
Okay.
I've got those scheduled out there a couple of weeks. But yeah, I plan on doing more interviews just like this, because like you said in your last live, it takes the pressure off of you.
Yeah, it's fun. So let's talk about YouTube for a moment. What's your workflow? I'm assuming you're doing this part-time, and it's not full-time. You're retired, and last week we talked a little bit about this can become a full-time hobby, I guess. But what's your workflow for doing your channel?
Well, it's kind of loosey-goosey right now, Mike, which is probably one of the reasons why nothing's been viral. But I love to film. I love to do videos. I love to edit. I'm really enjoying that. I never thought I would, but that's what I enjoy doing. So my goal is to get, one long form video a week out there, and then do one live stream a week. If I could get into that groove, that's kind of my goal right now.
Yeah, that's how much time do you spend in thinking about organizing, shooting, and uploading a video?
I spend a lot of time in thinking about it, Mike, probably too much time. I probably overthink it a little bit. I think that's my tendency, but I spend a lot of time doing that. And shooting the video is usually pretty quick. If I shoot a 30-minute video, it usually takes, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes. But then editing it can take a little bit of time. I use Final Cut Pro for most of my editing now. Thanks to Kevin Colby, he has a playlist on his channel that is all about Final Cut Pro, and I learned a lot from that playlist from watching him.
Yeah,
I've kind of jumped on that, and I love it. I'm loving it. I love to edit. So my process, I'll film a video, and sometimes it's in this room, sometimes it's outside someplace, and bring it back in and put it on my MacBook, and open up Final Cut Pro, do some editing. Again, it's usually pretty quick. If I'm in this room, I use Ecamm to record my videos, and when I started using Ecamm, my editing time dropped. It went way down. So I don't have to do a lot of editing when I use Ecamm, and a little bit, but my process isn't that long anymore.
So where do you get your ideas, Mike?
I'll brainstorm them. I'll get them from comments on my videos and other people's videos. And I write them down. I've got them on my phone here. I've got a list of ideas on my phone. It's about a mile long. So, as I'm watching other videos, ideas pop into my mind. And when I'm reading comments on my channel and other people's channels, I get ideas. And my ideas that I've got written down are way ahead of the reality of what I'm doing. I wish I had the time to do what I have written down.
So how do you keep track of your ideas over the years? I've been a heavy I use a journal. I write everything down, and I use an AI voice recorder all the time. How do you manage? And I do use my iPhone. How do you manage your ideas?
I have them on my iPhone. I use the Notes app on my iPhone,
Okay.
and I have a note, that's titled "Retirement Video Ideas," and every time something hits, I grab my phone and write it down and save it, and I've got it for later, and that's how I do it. It's all right there on my iPhone, so I always have it with me.
So there's a lot of discussion now about creators using AI. Mike, do you use AI at all? And if you do, where do you use it at?
I use it a little bit. I use Chat GPT for sometimes ideas for thumbnail texts or ideas for a title once I've done a video. I don't use AI exclusively. I don't use it much at all. Sometimes I'll ask it for a description. Sometimes I'll pull a sentence or two out of the description it gives me because I like that, and the rest of it I trash. But I dabble in it, I guess you could say. I don't rely on it. I'm not using it exclusively. I don't think I ever will.
Hey,
Because I want my channel to be real. I want it to be about what's real to me and what matters to me too. So
so look at Boomer's message. I just put it on the screen there. I love seeing two old guys comparing YouTube ideas and strategy. Hey, Mike, I'm just 6 months away from 80, and I need to
wow.
switch from iMovie to Final Cut Pro. Let's see. Let's talk about editing for a moment. I started out with
Okay.
iMovie, then I went to CapCut. I know there's controversy over their terms of service, but the CapCut Pro version, man, that thing, I've been with them since almost the beginning when I got online or got my channel up. Boy, you can do almost everything in there. And I think the reason I like CapCut is because it looks a lot like iMovie. If you learn iMovie, you can learn that. I have tried Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, which called DaVinci Resolve. About an hour of that program, I had to call 911 to go to the hospital for oxygen.
That's good. I've never used that.
But you like Final Cut Pro, eh?
I do. I like it for talking head videos. I like it for my walk and talk videos. I still use Camtasia for tutorials because you can't beat the screencast capability of Camtasia. I can capture the software screen in detail and zoom in and out in detail and
Yeah,
walk someone through how to do the software. It's so easy in Camtasia. But I like the quality of Final Cut Pro better. And I started with iMovie too and decided
I think I think
move up.
Rob the Maritimer is big on Camtasia. I think that's what he uses.
Yeah, yeah, he does. He does. And yeah, Camtasia is a great program, especially for doing tutorials. But for this kind of video, I prefer Final Cut. I just think the quality looks better of
Okay.
the final video. Plus, you can do more with it. You can do a lot more with it than you can with like iMovie, which is kind of the free version of it.
Hey,
So yeah.
thank you, serving my Redeemer super sticker. I appreciate that. I split all the super stickers with the guests. I tried to send Bill Pops half of the revenue when we did the live chat, and he turned it down. I said, "Hey, Pops, it's like $6,000." He said, "What? $6,000?" No, it wasn't that much.
Oh man.
But anyway, I appreciate it when people do that. So let's go from editing to uploading. Have you ever taken down a video that you uploaded because you didn't like it and redone it? Do you ever reshoot your videos?
I've done that a couple of times. Yeah, I have done that a couple of times. I don't take them down. I just make them private. And then, yeah, if there's something in it that I thought, well, I can do that better. It depends on the views too. If I just put it out there, maybe I'll do something different with it. But Normally I don't, but I have done that once or twice. So
Mm.
it does happen.
Here's a good friend of mine, the old horse girl. She's not so the horse girl. I called it the old horse girl. I'm still trying to Vinci Resolve, having a terrible time trying to get the color normal. Boy, if you get into the color part of Da Vinci Resolve, I mean, your head will explode. I mean, really, just want it true to the day outside. Yeah, I don't know, man. Uh, you got any advice for her? I mean, uh, gosh, Mike,
Well,
I think anybody that uses DaVinci Resolve, you better spend the time going through all the tutorials, and there's a million of them on YouTube, and really get that down good. But if you get into that color mixing, which is a whole different level of that program, I mean, it's crazy.
well, I've never used DaVinci Resolve, but it's the same way in Final Cut Pro. You can get into the color wheels and start color grading everything. And you're right, it blows your mind. It gets it gets overwhelming fast, and it's easy to make a lot of mistakes. At least it is for me. So I try and stay away from a lot of color grading. I do a little bit of it in Ecamm. Like I said, if I can do it
Okay.
up front, I can make my room look better than it looks. I can make myself look better than it looks before I push record.
Hey,
So
wait a minute. Did I hear that right? You can make yourself look better. I've been trying to make myself look better for 80 years. It hasn't helped me at all, man.
you can, in Ecamm, you can adjust it. You can give yourself a great complexion. It's like you've got a makeup crew on site, and they come in and do their thing on your face before you push record. It's pretty sweet.
No, man, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. So anyway, so you do use AI a little bit on the research side and maybe asking some
Mhm.
questions here and there. What's your view of what's going on with AI generated automated videos? How do we stand out from that, Mike?
Well, I think we stand out because we're human, and there's no replacement for that. I don't like AI generated videos. You can kind of tell that they are, and there's a
Yeah,
lot of them out there. Some of them have a disclaimer. I think they're all supposed to have a disclaimer, but they put it, so far at the bottom sometimes that you don't see it. But I think just being human, I mean, just being who we are and talking about our struggles in real life, and not trying to perfect everything. The last thing
yeah,
that I want to do is perfect my videos. I don't mind if people see some of the slop, and
yeah.
I'm human. I'm real. I make mistakes, and
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
in the editing process, I advise people see CapCut and a lot of programs, Descript and whatever. The AI will take out all your pauses and correct your mistakes. Well, the first time I applied that to a video, I was shocked because it also took out all the personality. I mean, my
Yeah,
pauses, my hiccups, your laughs and mistakes. That's what makes us unique. And to
that's right.
me, that's AI in its worst. It's taking the personality of the person, uh, out of a video.
Yeah, yeah. I see some of those AI generated videos that'll have an older person, supposedly, but even they're AI generated. They'll have
Yeah,
an older person talking about aging or getting older or life or whatever, and there'll be millions of views on this thing, and then at the bottom it says it's AI generated, and
yeah.
you know that's
So,
not good. I don't like that.
so Mike, let's move away from YouTube for a little bit. Uh, Thomas Edison, you remember him, right?
Yeah,
Did you go to school
I
with Tom?
do. He and I were good friends.
He's famous for saying, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. So, Mike, what ways have you found in life, not just necessarily YouTube, that didn't work?
Boy, where to start there? We could go alphabetically. Um,
Alphabetically, you got that many, huh?
yeah, I do actually. Yeah, things that don't work. Just talking about real life, right?
Yes.
You can't fix anybody. You can't fix people. You can't make them like you are. You can't manipulate people into being something that they're not. It doesn't work. And you shouldn't want it to work. Letting people be who they are, where they are. I have a phrase that I like to use, and I think I read it in a book quite some time ago. Unfortunately, I don't remember what book it was, but we all go through seasons in life. We're all living different chapters in life, and I shouldn't judge someone by the chapter of their life that I walk in on,
Ooh, I like
because
that.
it's a chapter, it's a season, and seasons change, seasons come and go, and you learn that. You learn that what someone's going through right now, they're probably not going to be going through next year or next month or even next week. You have to let people simmer where they're at, and you have to come alongside and be a friend. It's okay just to sit with someone and not say anything, if they're
It's
hurting.
hard to do that sometimes, isn't it?
It is. It is, but it can be very comforting to that person, as well. When I got diagnosed with cancer a couple of years ago, that's what happened to me. People came and just sat with me,
Uh,
and you know that your friends are good friends when they just come and sit with you, and they just want to be there. They just want to be a part of your life and with you, and a part of what's going on with you, and not judging you because maybe you're running out of patience with something, or there's a trial in your life that's overwhelming and you're not responding well to it. Maybe you're dropping F-bombs left and right. That's okay, because it's a season of life. It's a chapter that we're in, and it's not permanent. And
so one of
yeah,
my so one of my favorite scriptures Paul wrote in Philippians: "Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." I love that because, and I preach that a lot in my church, because the way that we interpret that is, though, I want to work out all of my neighbor's salvation. I want to work out my wife's salvation. I don't want to work out my own. I'm more
yeah,
interested in the person next to me, like you said, fixing them. But,
yeah,
the Bible's pretty clear that we need to work on our own stuff and get
yep.
our own stuff in order. And then I think that can be the influence that we can have with others. Do you agree with
Yeah.
that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah.
Now we're at letter A. Remember, the question was the 10,000 mistakes. We're on number one. What's number two?
We got a ways to go.
Yeah, right.
Well, I think just in living life, what you pick up along the way is so invaluable. And when it comes to relationships with other people, relationships with my spouse, relationships with my kids and my friends, I think it's the same basic principle. You can't live their life for them. We see all of us are this way. We see our children making mistakes. My parents saw me making mistakes, but they can't live my life for me.
Yeah.
They had to let me do that. They had to let me, at least on a certain level, make those mistakes, because that's how I learn. That's how I recognize them later
Yes.
on too, when those opportunities arise to make the same stupid mistake. Is it's life, and there's no substitute for living. There's no substitute for the experiences that we have that are every one of them contributes to who we are right now.
Yeah.
Nothing's wasted. Not one of them is wasted.
Oh man, I agree.
And
Let me jump in the chat here. I got a lot of great things going on. I'm trying to look at it out of the corner of my eye. Lori, who we both know and love, hardest thing to let your children to walk their journey. how good are you at that, Mike?
I suck sometimes. I'm just being honest. I'm not AI generated, so it's okay to suck sometimes.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
yeah. I mean, you have pristine moments, and then you have times that you fail at that, and you cross a line, maybe cross a boundary, especially with your adult children. And maybe the better thing to do is to just back off and love them and be there for them and give them counsel when they ask for it. And I have good
So,
relationships with the people in my life. It isn't like I've alienated anybody. I don't think I have.
so, so my story is I'm adopted. So I have my adopted family who I loved, and then I found my birth mother. That's how I discovered that I was Jewish, and so I always felt that I was Jewish, but that confirmed that. But we had about 30 years before she passed away after we found each other.
Oh,
But
wow.
she cracked me up. If I didn't call her every week, and then I missed a week and I called her, this is how she would answer the phone. I say, "Hi, this is your son Mike from California." And she would say, "So this is what my son sounds like." I'm serious. So that became a family joke within our family. And if I don't hear from my kids for a while, I'll tease them about that. But I think with kids, I've got a great relationship with both of my kids and my family. But
Mhm.
it's a process that takes a while. And the hardest part for me, and I think you've expressed it, probably Lori is here too, also, is the letting go process. I mean, they're
Yeah.
under our care for all those years and they're dependent on us. And we do this and we do that and we correct their mistakes. And all of a sudden we're expected to, boom, let them go. But on the other side of the coin is you never get rid of them. I
Yeah.
I don't mean I hope everybody understands that. I don't mean get rid of them, but I mean that they're always going to be there, right?
Exactly. It's kind of like this, Mike. It's kind of like the scales tip. When your kids are young, they're completely dependent on you for everything in their lives that they need, that they want. They're completely dependent on you. And then as they grow, the scales kind of shift, and eventually you become less important in terms of them needing things from you. And that's a normal part of life. As a parent, you become less of a parent, I guess, and more of a mentor, perhaps, or a friend. And
I
there's a
I
shift
love
there.
that. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I with my son especially over the last couple of years, he's besides my wife, he's become just a dear friend. I respect him. I
Mhm.
I love him. Also, my daughter, but she's a little further away, a little hard to get in touch with. But yeah, you move from one level of a relationship and develop a new. And you'll always be the father, but it's fun to be able to understand. Well, my joke is, I hate to bring it up on the channel, but you come into the world and your parents change your diapers. You go out of the world and your kids will change your diapers. Now, since I
Yeah.
pastor a senior church, we joke about that all. It's not a joke. I mean, oh, brother, it's a reality. Speaking of that, here's I can't read it without my glasses on. Lovely lady. She says, I was in a nursing home for 3 months last year. People just sitting with me saved my sanity. That confirms what you were saying earlier,
Mhm.
Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to be
So
said for that.
give us an update on your cancer progress.
Well, my last chemo and radiation was January 3rd of 2025. And every 6 months, I have to go in to get tests. That's April. This month has been really busy. And then again in October, that'll happen. But I am cancer free as of this date. So it's been about a year
Oh,
and a
that's
half. Yeah,
wonderful.
that I've been cancer free. So once you hit that 5 year mark, they say that's it. And I won't have to go in for the 6 months test anymore. But feeling much better, doing a whole lot better. I'm not like I was energy wise. I don't think I ever will be. But I tell people if 85% is the new 100%, I'll take it. Because
Now,
like you say, if you ain't dead, you ain't done. So I'm still here, so I ain't done.
Yeah, there's days I feel like I'm dead though. So
that's true.
When we talked this last week, you said that the bigger challenge now is recovering from the effects of the chemo. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of side effects. It affected my eyesight. It affected my voice. It affected obviously my energy level, and the radiation was, really contributed to that too. And it just, it does. It has all of these side effects. I did a recent video. In fact, I think my last video was on that, what kind of the leftovers that cancer gives you or the chemotherapy gives you and radiation therapy gives you. So yeah, there's side effects that are lasting. I got the neuropathy from it, and it affects you physically, it affects you mentally, it affects you emotionally, especially when you're in it. So if someone's facing that, that's listening today, I want to encourage them in that, because again, like I said earlier, it's a season. It's a season of life. And as tough as some of this stuff can be, the health care that you receive can cure you. It can heal you. It can make you better. It can make you feel better long term. And so,
Yes.
yeah, it isn't all gloom and despair. It's like that old song. Did you ever watch Hee Haw?
Oh yeah.
Back
Yeah.
in the day, that song,
Yeah.
Gloom, Despair, and Agony on Me.
Yeah.
Deep,
There
dark
you go.
depression, excessive misery. That whole thing, it isn't all gloom and despair. There can be light at the end of that tunnel. And boy, when I was in the middle of it, I didn't see that light. I didn't know it was there. I thought this was it, but look at now.
I think,
Here I am a year and a half later. There's hope.
yeah, and you're looking good. It reminds me of Psalm 23. Most people know that one. Lo, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. The operative word there is shadow. It's not really the death, it's the shadow of. And with working with seniors over the year, and now at 82, facing my own mortality, death is a shadow. No matter what part of that shadow we're in, God gives us strength, even though we're in that. And I think every time I have a health crisis, or my wife does, some of you know about that, the shadow comes up, and the shadow can overwhelm us unless we understand that there is strength through that valley, as you said. And it sounds like that's the strength that you've received.
Yeah. Yeah, there's hope there. There's hope in those truths from Scripture are important, and to hold on to those when we're suffering is extremely important. I agree with that completely.
So Valerie says, with my growing kids, I've had to let go and let God. By the way, Valerie, your stickers are in the mail. Let's see where I go. Now, if I don't do this too often, but if you're watching the live stream today, if you want to send me an email at that email address, you can also find that in my channel description. Give me your mailing address. I promise not to misuse it or sell your mailing address. But if you send me your mailing address, I'll send you a couple of these stickers. Old Me Living Better, and you can stick them on your forehead or whatever you want to do. So, but that's the email, Me Old Living. There it is again. You can send me that email. Okay, let me get back over here. We've got a lot of wonderful people in the chat today. Now I think you've interviewed Debbie, didn't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. keep going, keeping you in my prayers.
Yes.
So now you're gonna the Mike's Adventure Sparks. Oh, I see. She's responding to somebody else. That's a problem when we get involved with this kind of a talk. Then
Oh
I
yeah.
can't. I'm so focused on this that it's important. Serving my Redeemer, my grandma with her walker used to call it a temporary hurdle in the marathon of life. We just got to keep running the race. I love that. Thank you, my friend. Yeah. You got to tell me if you're a man or a woman or who you are. You've given me a couple of nice gifts. I appreciate that. Serving my Redeemer. Have you got a name? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So, Mike, do you have let me check the time here. Do you have a favorite Bible verse?
I do. I think it's Galatians 2:20.
I
Talks
don't
about
believe that's my life verse.
really.
Yeah, go for it. I knew we were related somehow.
Well,
I think
in our previous conversations, I'm going to get this out here and look at this, make sure I'm not misquoting it.
okay.
In our previous conversations that we've had the last couple of weeks, we talked about the similarity in our paths. As far as pastoring and so forth, and some of the same people that we know, and throughout the years, you and I have talked about that a little bit, and so we have that bond, we have that in common. In addition to the fact that we're both old, you're older than me, obviously. I was thinking about this. You were 12 when I was born.
Oh my, that's
You know,
scary.
yeah. So think about that. We wouldn't have been hanging out then. It would have been a little awkward, especially for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot in common here. So yeah, Galatians 2:20. I want to read it here. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Otherwise, I'll butcher it. So I don't want to butcher it. So yeah, Galatians 2:20. I've been crucified with Christ. That's important here at Easter time. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. And to
Yeah, I
me,
love it.
it's your life verse. It's my life verse as well, I suppose. And because that's what keeps me going. And God loves me. He's affectionate toward me. He's affectionate toward you. He's affectionate toward anybody watching, anybody listening. He loves me, and not only that, but he gave himself for me. And
So
he's going to keep me. He's going to see me through. Yeah.
so the verse has several parts to it that are really important. Living by faith is I think a lot of people have a challenge with it. We have faith in a lot of things. I can have faith in my coffee cup that when I put the coffee in, it's not going to roll out. So that's a simple kind of faith. In your opinion, what does it mean to live by faith?
I think it means, boiled down to its basics, I think it means taking God at his word, believing what he said. We're told that Abraham believed God and it was credited to him as righteousness. We're justified. We're justified by faith apart from works, and it's all about faith. It's all about taking God at his word and believing what he says. I think it's that simple. When it boils down to it, it's just that simple. At least that's what I've found in my life.
So, besides cancer, what was the biggest challenge you had that you had to step into faith to get through?
The cancer kind of overshadows all of that, in one sense. Oh boy, that's a tough question, Mike.
I'm a good question
Because
guy.
you are. I'm questioning that now. Yeah, you absolutely are. I guess one of the biggest hurdles is we had 4 miscarriages. We have 3
Wow.
kids, but we had 4 miscarriages. We have 7 grandkids now. And getting through those miscarriages was rough, to say the least. It was really hard. It was hard to keep going. 2 of them were early on in our marriage, and 2 of them were later when we were a little bit older. Those were hard times. Those were tough times. They were dark times. And it makes you kind of want to give up. It makes you think, well, I did something wrong, or there's something wrong with me, but that's not the truth. That's not the case at all. And you know, God is a comforter. He's called that. He's called the comforter, the counselor, the mighty counselor. And he comes alongside and he picks us up, and he puts things back together in our lives. And he keeps us going. He keeps us moving ahead.
So it was Billy Graham, I think, that had that famous story about the kid that came to him, or forgot how the story goes. It's been around for a long time. A father, somebody's trying to tell his son about the existence of God, and the son says, "Yeah, but I want somebody with skin on." In other words, I want to be able to see somehow. How how do we see God when we can't see him? We see him in his word, I know, but how would you answer that?
Well, we see him in other people. Primarily, I see God in my wife. You know, when she's taking care of me, when we're having conversations that have meaning, that have depth. I see God in my friends, you know, who are also walking by faith and living by faith. God shows himself to us in a variety of ways. I see him in nature. You know, I have an open window right here that I'm looking out of right now, and I see him all over the place, you know, and in everything, and my interaction with a lot of people, I see him. And that's that's the good part of life. That's the good part of living, is being sensitive to that, being sensitized to that. And I think that's really important. I think that's easy to miss that if we're not looking for it.
Yeah.
So I try to look for it. I don't always look for it, but I try to.
Look at all the great people that are in here. Kentucky Life with Debbie, one of my favorite people. I feel God every day. So, Mike, how do you feel God every day? You're talking about the window at the granular level. Well, how do you stay connected to God every day? Maybe that's a better question. How do you stay connected? Do you have habits that you have developed over the years that keep you close to God?
Yeah, I've got habits, but I've also come to realize that he's keeping close to me. This isn't
Uh,
about my effort. You talked about skin a minute ago. One of my favorite phrases too. I have a few favorite phrases here I'm laying on you today. But one of
okay.
them is, yeah, Jesus has all the skin in the game. I don't have any. This is all about him. He's promised to
Oh,
keep
I love
me
that.
by his power, by his grace. He keeps me. You know that. Yeah, God. Paul said, I'm convinced that He's able to deliver me on that day. To see me to the end. He's faithful, and that takes the sting away from death to a certain degree, knowing that
Yeah.
He is sustaining me, even on my bad days. He isn't rolling His eyes at me. When I'm having days where I'm not practicing this or practicing that, or maybe I'm in a funk and I just don't feel like doing it today, but He's still there. He's still moving me
Yeah.
along. He hasn't
Do
left.
you do you have a daily habit of reading the Bible? And if so, how have you managed that?
I don't know that it's a daily habit. I do read my Bible. I don't think it's daily now. I got pretty burned out on reading there a few years ago, and maybe that's a topic for a story for another day. But I don't do a whole lot of reading anymore. I do go there from time to time. I like books. I like to read books, not theological books, not heavy doctrine books anymore. I did that for a while, but just books that encourage me, that point me back to God. And I do have my Bible here, which is kind of wore out, kind of like me. It's wore out,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't
Well,
beat myself. I guess I don't beat myself up if I miss a day.
no,
I
okay.
think that's important.
I'm kind of OCD about this. I think I started about 40 years ago reading the Bible through every year. I've
Hmm.
done that every year
I did that.
with a different translation. I'm back on the King James version. I used the ESV last year. I can't remember what it was before that, but I love the King James version a lot. But for me, I spend that first half hour to 45 minutes every day in my prayer journal and reading through the scripture. What I've discovered for me, I'm sure you've discovered this too. You can read the same thing over and over again. I mean, this goes for regular books, not the Bible too. You'll read a book and then you listen to a book and read a book and then you see something you never saw before. And I've discovered Bible verses that I've memorized. I've known all since I was a kid. All of a sudden, I look at it, and all of a sudden, it has a completely new meaning. It's like there's some
Yes.
Holy Spirit inspiration comes out of that one moment, and I think it's important for us to stay in the Word to whatever degree we feel comfortable with. I don't believe it should become a ritual thing that you feel guilty of
Right.
if you don't do it. But I think it's important to stay connected, to the word as much as we can. JB had a comment in here. Where do you go? Here it is. JB is a good friend of mine. Matthew 10:16 is my favorite verse. I looked it up. This is my King James Allen Long Primer, 53 Long Primer. This one is 16 years old. I love this.
Wow.
They're not, by the way, they're not cheap. I love collecting Bibles. Bibles and knives. That's what I do. But the sword of the Lord and the real sword, I guess. I don't know. Here's Matthew 10:16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and
Mm.
harmless as doves. JB, if you know JB, that's a great verse, buddy. So, Mike, put on your theological hat, buddy, or whatever. What do you think this verse says? Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be therefore, this is the difficult part. How do you be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove?
That's a good question. I think it's
That's why I've got you on the program, buddy. You're going to answer these questions for me.
I think it involves talking less and listening more. I harmless as doves, wise as serpents. You think about a snake. There's a lot of snakes here in Arizona. I used to catch snakes. I used to catch rattlesnakes and stuff them. I was in high school, so don't judge me. It was a season of life. But yeah, snakes are wicked. They can be wicked. Poisonous snakes, rattlesnakes, diamondback rattlesnakes are abundant here.
Yeah.
And they're aggressive. They're hunters. They're prowling for something to kill and to eat, to devour. Whereas on the other hand, a dove, a dove is harmless, other than it can mess up your art a little bit, but it doesn't have that agenda. And so I think that there's a combination there for us that we're being told, don't be naive, but at the same time, don't be overcritical, don't be harsh, don't be mean, don't be angry, like that snake, like that diamondback rattlesnake. Don't be ready to pounce or to bite on someone and to poison them or, whatever metaphorically we want to say, but rather be ready to be a friend, be ready to come alongside, be ready to comfort. And so
The verse,
don't be naive while you're doing that. Yeah.
yeah, the verse is interesting because both can be positive. I mean, wise in general, how do you determine in any particular situation? It makes me think of in the book of Joshua, Joshua is out fulfilling what God had commanded him to do. And the Gibeonites come over to him and they want to make a deal so that Joshua doesn't destroy him like the rest of the nations. And so they dress up like they came from a long distance. The bottom line is there's one line in that chapter, I think it's 6 or 7 in the book of Joshua. And it says that Joshua and the priests did not consult God. And I think in my own life, and Mike, you tell me about this yourself, I think 99 or 100% of the mistakes that I have made have been the mistakes. Number one, that I didn't listen to my wife. She's got incredible discernment. I say, hey, let's do this. And she goes, no, are you crazy? That's the worst thing. And I go do it. And man, it was the worst thing. The other is not checking with God first. That's why I have an old Mike 72-hour rule. I don't make any decision for at least 72 hours over big things. But so you need to learn when to be a serpent and when to be a dove. And if you don't check in with God on that, and you're not close enough to hear his voice, it's hard to know when to be a serpent and when to be a dove. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think it's easy to be impulsive, number one. And I have a bucket load of regrets for things I've done on impulse that turned out to be, bad. I think it's important that you do wait on God like that. I think that, if you're unsure, just don't make a move. If you're unsure, just wait. Sometimes you can't wait. Maybe the circumstance is such that, you have to do A or B right now. You do what you can. Go ahead.
Yeah, look at JB's answer. I like this. He says, I see it as serpents read the terrain and know what is going on. Doves do no harm. I think the trick is to not become a wolf. Also, a sheep need a shepherd. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point.
I like it that doves can fly away. There's a lot of situations, Mike, in my life, I wish I had flown away.
Yeah.
It stayed too long. Did you ever stay too long in something that you wish you'd got out of earlier?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Some friendships, even relationships with someone that turned out to kind of be a wolf. Absolutely. If I would have seen that earlier, I would have got out of there, because it had effects not only on me, but on my wife and kids, especially when they were younger. We were still raising them. Get out of these toxic situations. Sometimes you don't see them as toxic right away. It can take time for that to become obvious, especially if you're dealing with a narcissistic person, but yeah, there are a number of times in my life where I wish I would have made a change earlier than I did, in order to, help my family more, to help my wife more, to help my kids get out of a situation that just wasn't healthy. Yeah.
Man, what a mess. We could spend a whole nother hour on that. Toxic family and toxic faith. I've been in a couple of churches and denominations that were toxic, that left damage on my family and other people around them. And then, my own issues that contributed to those dysfunctional issues in my own life and marriage. Oh my word, life is a challenge. Before we run out of time, Lori had a question for you. She says, Mike, random question. Someone who hikes a lot in Arizona, should they carry something to help if they get bit?
Yeah, I would. I definitely would. One thing that I would do is wear substantial footwear. I would wear hiking boots if you can, especially high top hiking boots, just in case, because those snakes are going to strike from the knee down, most likely. And so, it's good to have good footwear on that, those fangs will sink into the leather before they sink into your skin.
Yeah.
But yeah, always have a first aid kit with you, always. And always be with someone, and have a cell phone, because you don't know when that can happen. I mean, a dove flying overhead is not going to bother you, but a serpent down in the weeds,
yeah, you got it.
You. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mike, I've really enjoyed our time together. I'm running out of time, but let me get to a couple of comments that have been popping up here. Thanks for everybody that was here today. I got a lot of folks. Grandpa Chuck says, Mike, there is a reason why God gave you that wife. I guess both of us, Mike, we would say that, right?
Yeah, the Mikes and their wives. Absolutely.
The Mike's and the Mike's. Now, I've been married 60, it'll be 62 years this year. You've been married how long?
Wow. 52. It'll be 52 in July.
Wow, we've been married longer than a lot of people have been alive.
That's true. We've been alive longer than a lot of people have been alive. Between the two of us, we got 152 years.
I had a couple of my church. They're both home with the Lord now. They were married. Are you ready for this? They were married for 71 years.
Oh, wow.
They both lived over 100, and they died within 1 month of each other.
Wow.
I can't tell you how many people in my church and people that I know about get to a certain age, and when one spouse goes, the other spouse is gone within a few months. I don't know the dynamics of that, but that's one of the things that definitely happens. I know.
I can understand that.
Yeah, right. Right. Oh, gee. Well, Mike, I wish I could take the time to reply to everybody in here, but we've used up the hour. Mike's got a golf game or a hike or something exciting that he's going to do. Remember, he's the guy that's got a lot of retirement time on his hands, right, Mike?
Right, exactly. Yeah. The day's just free. I just sit around.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, brother. Everybody I missed some super chats in here. Let's see, what does that say? Lori, give me a break. Is that right? Thank you, everybody that's given super chats. I just got a notice of several that came up while I wasn't watching.
Oh yeah, Lori's Soul Circle.
Yeah, she's a sweet gal, and lots of insights. Has some great live streams. You can go to Lori's channel, by the way, and let's get her up here. Hardest thing to I already had that up there, but she has a comment on in her community that has a list of all of the live streams that are going on. We have great live streams every week. I mean, Scott's got one, Rob's got one, Lori's got them. Just everybody's got a live stream. It seems like, I don't know. I love doing live streams.
I do too. I'd like to have you on one of mine soon, Mike, if you're open to that.
Well, let's see. You're going to have to stand in line, and I don't come cheap. I got to tell you. No, it's funny. I knew I was getting old when people started opening the door for me.
Yeah.
Have you had that experience, Mike?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Were you excited, or were you really upset when the first time somebody opened the door for you and you knew it was because you were old?
It was a mixture of both. It's like getting carded in old age. It's kind of a joy and it's kind of a letdown. It's a beautiful letdown, and yet you think, okay, I've arrived at some status, but then you realize, oh, I've arrived at some status. So yeah, it's a both and for me. It really is.
Now, I've never done this on a live chat. Pops did this for me the other day when we were talking privately. Mike, before we get out of here, take a minute and just pray for all the people that were in the live chat today, that God would bless them, okay?
You want me to pray?
I want you to pray.
Okay, let's do that right now.
All right.
Father, thank you for Mike. Thank you for his channel, for the energy that's here, for what he's doing, the people he's reaching, the people he's helping. And for those in the chat, I pray for them as well, that they'd be encouraged and reminded today that you love us unconditionally, without condition. And that's who you are, and that's how you are. And so remind us of that today as we start to wind up here and wind things down, that we would remember that through our day and through our week and through our life ahead. And we ask that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Wow. Thank you, Mike. What a great prayer. Thank you for everybody that was in the chat today. Appreciate it very much. I'm intending to continue the Monday chats. Not sure I'll have somebody on every week, but thank you all, and I'm blessed. I pray you have a blessed day. Mike, thanks for being here. Appreciate it, my
Thank
friend.
you, Mike. I really appreciate it. I'm really honored to be here. What a thrill it is to share the screen with you. This has been fantastic.
It's been great. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.